50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
If there's one video game franchise that's more cursed than the Bermuda Triangle, it's Star Wars Battlefront. This one game franchise has been cursed ever since 2005 when Battlefront 2 came out. Since then, we had Pandemic shut down, EA making a watered-down reboot, EA making a sequel to their watered-down reboot with microtransactions. But I'm sure you already know the story on that one. The original Battlefront 1 and 2 are some of the best games ever made that need no introduction. These two games are ingrained into everyone's heads for a reason and are nostalgic. But let's quickly put ourselves into the mind of a corporate suit at a video game company. You don't actually care about making video games, but you absolutely love money. You also love making money with as little effort as possible. So then, you have a Jimmy Neutron brain blast. Instead of making a new game with all those pesky new ideas, passion, and effort into making something good, instead you decide to re-release an already loved video game. You take that video game and its source code, hire like 10 people to port it to all the latest consoles, add 1 or 2 new features and call it a day. Which brings us to the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. Released the day before Crab's Fries in 2024, the Battlefront Classic Collection is a classic, pun intended, way of baiting people's nostalgia to buy a product. What was marketed as the definitive way to play these two classic games turned out to be bordering on the line of a scam meant to dupe players, myself included. Yeah, I was basically scammed by this game, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Let's first talk about that trailer. It has that, yeah, we know what game we are, and you're gonna buy it vibe to it. That's perfect for nostalgia baiting. And then the price, $35.01. What kind of pricing is this? Do these guys not know basic marketing? The reason why products are priced with 99 cents at the end is because it triggers something in our godless little monkey brains that thinks we're getting a good deal, when in reality we're basically paying the same price as if it was an even number. It also goes without saying, but $35 for two 20-year-old games is ridiculous. You can go on Steam right now and buy the original Battlefront 1 and 2 for the pretty reasonable price of $10 per game. So we can confirm that Aspyr knows absolutely nothing about marketing. But whatever, these games are still good. Maybe they added tons of exciting new features that make the game better and justify the price. So let's jump into this game and see what we can find in this madness. I'm mainly going to talk about Battlefront 2 in this video, but I'll also mention some faults in the first Battlefront game too. Without further ado, let's do this. Yeah. Let's start with my very few positives. The main menu is like the PS2 version and I like it, especially compared to whatever the fuck the PC main menu was. The ability to play Hero Assault on all maps is also a welcome addition, as well as including the old Xbox exclusive DLC in this game was pretty cool as well. Editing burp here, I cannot say 2 words with X's at the end. Xbox exclusive. That is all my positives. Now let's step back into reality. This game requires 30 gigabytes for two 20-year-old games. The original Battlefront is 3 gigabytes and Battlefront 2 is roughly 10 gigabytes. I have no idea why this game is as big as it is, and to make matters even worse, when the game first launched it was actually 70 gigabytes. That's right, 70 fucking gigabytes. If this game isn't a perfect example of how terribly optimized games are nowadays, then I don't know what is. But whatever, we all have 16 terabyte hard drives apparently, according to Aspyr. But I can at least play online with my friends on launch day, right? Well, you should be able to, except you can't, because the servers don't work. Like, really don't work. Here's some gameplay footage I took on launch day. Wow, so exciting. I can finally feel like a stroke victim. The hit detection was also amazing of how bad it was. You would shoot someone at point blank range, but it wouldn't actually register at all, so you two would just be sitting there firing at each other, just hoping that the Aspyr servers would register your shots from their 1999 dial-up connection. But it would never happen, and you'd just end up getting killed by a sniper anyways. Whenever you would try and join a server, it would ask for a password even though you selected quick play, and you obviously don't know the password because why would you? So you're just sitting there hoping the game fixes itself, which it never will. Those servers were also nice and packed too. On launch day, there were only 3 servers. That's right, 3 fucking servers that could hold a max of 64 players each, which means that only 192 people can try to enjoy this game online at once. Ah yes, 3 64-player servers, perfect for up to 10,000 people. The online experience was completely fucked, and Aspyr did the bare minimum to make it playable. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if they just reused code from the original game, and when pairing that game code with modern servers, it fucked something up. Not to mention, no crossplay whatsoever. Today the online is completely dead and still broken. Look at me launching into the server with one other guy, the game ends before I can do anything, and then my game crashes. Incredible. Now, to all the people out there saying something on the lines of, well, the online was bad because they put all their resources into the single player, did they now? Let's entertain that idea for a while. Let's see all that innovation and passion that Aspyr put into this game. The sound design got much worse. Everybody remembers the sound design from the original. It's iconic for a reason. You have all this gunfire going off, people yelling stuff. It feels like an actual battlefield. Not to mention that sweet Star Wars music playing in the background. Yet in the Classic Collection, it sounds terrible. You'll hear all this gunfire from one direction when nobody is there, as well as your guns are insanely quiet compared to the gun that's shooting 40 feet away from you that'll blow your eardrums out. Sometimes the main menu music will just stop for no reason, leaving you in complete silence. They also changed some of the sound effects for no reason. You remember that iconic jingle that would play after completing an objective in the original game? Well, they changed it and it sounds way worse. They also changed the loading sound effect from the first game, and tell me, would you feel hyped loading into a game with these shitty monotone sound effects? Thankfully, they changed it in an update, but why even change the sound effects in the first place? You really didn't need to. Thanks, asspyr. Yet none of this really matters, because in the latest patch of the game, which was released almost a year ago, by the way, the new sound effects will still play sometimes and flip-flop between the old and new ones because the people who made this game are really good programmers. Speaking of terrible programming, the aim assist makes me want to vomit. The aim assist is so strong that it's genuinely disorienting. It's like the lock-on mechanic in Gotcha Force, but at least in that game it was consistently awful. In this game, it chooses when it wants to be. Like, look at this. It's so strong, I can barely move my character. Do yourself a favor and turn aim assist off. One thing you can't turn off, though, is these 144p cutscenes. My god. These cutscenes are incredible like they've always been, but Aspyr, in their infinite wisdom, decided to not upscale them at all, which is really funny because they did upscale the movie cutscenes. So you're watching this crisp 4K movie scene one second, and then the next second you're going, huh? What? What's going on? I can't see it. What the fuck? All these game design choices just turned this game into a nightmare. And that's what it was. A nightmare. It was a nightmare for the fans, it was a nightmare for gamers, and it was a nightmare for Aspyr. Less than a day after the game launched, they issued a statement trying to quell the outrage on their website. It did not work. People hated this game, and rightfully so, myself included. This game had the potential to be the definitive edition of these classic games. All they had to do was fix some issues, add some new features, and have the online work, but they couldn't even do that. They could smell money from a mile away and took that opportunity to release two already finished games from 20 years ago, broken and neutered. For the rest of 2024, Aspyr would release updates for this game, but at this point, nobody cared. If you can't release a finished game on launch, nobody will ever play it again, even if you promise more updates are coming in the future, and it shows in the current player count. Reading the patch notes for this game is like reading a Twitter or Discord argument, completely embarrassing and something that didn't even need to happen in the first place. Now, to be fair, the full games are still here, and this game can be fun like it always had been back in the day, but it's just a fat fucking waste of potential on top of being objectively inferior to the original games that came out almost 20 years ago. The originals weren't perfect. Hell, they were actually kind of held together by duct tape and Elmer's glue at some points, but that's what made them fun. It was the presentation and flair that made the game so special and wanted you to keep coming back. We all have the words "just like the simulation" implanted into our brains because it was memorable. The game had passion and people who genuinely cared about what they were making working on the game. Aspyr took the hard work of these passionate devs and fucking annihilated it beyond recognition. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering why I spent the last however many minutes venting about a Star Wars game. And well, to that I say, I don't know, this is my YouTube channel, sue me, I make my own goddamn rule. Overall, the message I'm trying to get across is, stop pre-ordering games, stop pre-ordering consoles, just don't do it. Wait for a game to come out to see if it's actually good no matter what it is. Don't let companies take advantage of you and always vote with your wallet. Games like this one are perfect examples of how far game companies can go to make a quick buck, and we, the consumer, are still part of the problem. This game was a wake-up call for me to stop buying everything that I think looks good and wait for games to actually come out before I buy them, because now I have this hemorrhoid in my Steam library. Also, keep in mind that you're allowed to enjoy this game. Hell, it may even be more convenient to play this on something like a PS5 or a Switch, but don't defend this. You deserve better. As I've said, the full games are still here, so they can still be fun, but if you have the ability to play the originals, whether it be the original Steam release, the original PS2 version, or even emulation, just do that. My name is Verbus, and thank you for watching.